Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 supers within Brawl Stars right now. So just before we jump into it, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, because over 60% of you aren't subscribed. We've got some bangers on the way. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So starting off with the 10th best super within the game right now, we have Tara's Super. So Tara's Super used to be the best super in the game easily. I think as the metas have gone on within the past few years, also the introduction of gears, Power 11, all of that good stuff, I think Tara's Super has had a lot less value. Of course, it's still a super strong super, especially in game modes like Gem Grab, where you can pull multiple people together. At the lower end of trophies, it feels like the best super in the game. I'm kind of evaluating things at like a top player perspective, and I just feel like it's pretty hard to hit super, especially when so many people use the speed gear. A lot of times you can end up just completely within that super. So, you know, it's high risk, high reward quite in this meta. But, you know, if you pull it off, if you pull off the double pull or just a game-changing one, it feels like the best one in the game. So next up, as the 9th best super within the game right now, we have Sandy's Sandstorm. So this super used to be, again, one of the best supers within the game. The main reason why this one's fell off a little bit is because of the vision gear. You guys know vision gear has really killed brawlers like Leon and Sandy. The invisibility doesn't feel as strong, but I feel like still it's a really insane super. It covers such a large area of the map. You and your teammates can become invisible, and a lot of the times it still can be pretty hard to scout a Sandy or anyone within that super, especially if you be really sneaky. If you connect that super onto grass as well, you know, you can end up going in and out of the grass back into the super and end up making really clutch plays. So this super is still really strong. It's just now with Sandy in the meta, it takes so long to get it that a lot of the times like the game could end before you even get the super. So next up, as the 8th best super within the game right now, we have a really good support super with Gus's shield. So Gus's shield is really strong. When it first came out, it's a little bit iffy, but now you can shoot it through walls. It just makes it really easy to hit, but also buffed it quite a few times. So with 3,900 HP, you know, it does deteriorate over time, but when you first put that shield on, you can go super aggressive, and it's really hard to deal with as someone going against that Gus shield. And also, I just love it when I pair it with an assassin brawler like Buzz or Carl, and they just go in. You literally feel invincible when you've got that shield. So for me, it has to be one of the best supers in the game. So next up, we have a 7th best super, and it is Chester's super. So well, Chester has 5 supers. All of them are pretty decent overall, but it's just the fact that it's quite luck based, right? The fact that the opponent doesn't know what super you have automatically makes it such a strong super. So all of them combined have their uses. You know, there's a couple of weak ones, but definitely combined as the game goes on, you're just going to get tremendous value with it. And like I said, there's nothing more strong, I think, in a game like Brawl Stars, having the ability to just have this randomness and the enemies can't predict it. It just makes it so good for you as a Chester, because, you know, easily you could have like the stun super, for example, and you could just run up against a tank and delete them. So next up, as the 6th best super within the game right now, we have Ruff's super. So Ruff's super alone, even without air superiority, is such a strong super. You're giving the buff to you and your teammates. The HP and damage has always been so OP since Ruff's release, but of course, you know, if you want to cheat a little bit, it becomes literally one of the best supers in the game easily with this star power, because you're able to break open the map as well. But like I said, even without it, just the ability, especially if you're playing the long game, you know, with a brawler like Ruff's, that's how you kind of play the game. You want to eventually get everyone their supers, and then once literally all 3 of you have the ability to have extra damage and HP, it makes it incredibly hard for the opponents to really deal with that. So next up, as the 5th best super in the game right now, we have a Max super called Let's Go. So Max super is literally the best thing about it. Being able to speed up you and your teammates is just so broken. I've said it time and time again, whenever Max is even close to the meta, it's because of the super. Being able to just overthrow your enemy just so easily. It doesn't matter who you have in your team, what composition, a super is going to make every single speed is going to make every single brawler in the game so much better. And especially those tanky aggressive brawlers, it's pretty hard to just deal with multiple tanks just sprinting straight at you. A lot of the times it can literally win you the game, because in certain clutch moments a speed can really overwhelm the opponents and get so many amazing plays. Next up, as the 4th best super in the game right now, we have Buzz's grapple. So this super is just so strong. The ability to grapple across the map at pretty much, obviously you have to have that super charge, but at any given time, and then stunning them. The longer you grapple, the longer the stun duration. Stun, of course, is one of the most broken things within the game right now, and the ability to stun lock people is just so strong. You don't need any star power or anything like that to really enhance his stun. It's just built into his base kit, and that's why it's such a strong super. Also, you've got the gadget, which you just get your super free. Of course, it removes the stun, but just adds a lot of mobility and a lot of unpredictableness when you're playing Buzz. But for me, a good Buzz can just dominate because of his super. So next up, as the third best super within the game right now, we have Otis's Mute. So Otis's super is just so incredibly strong. We knew straight away when Otis was revealed in Brawl Talk, everyone was so scared of this super. You know, the ability to stop everyone else's ability is so strong. It's such a broken mechanic to have. We've seen it in other games as well, where it just becomes so strong. Of course, there's not much counterplay when you're muted, right? The only counterplay you really have is to just try and run away from everyone, because you're literally screwed for those 3 seconds that you are muted. Of course, it then allows him just to cycle his super again, especially if he's up close to an opponent. So for me, Mute has to be one of the best supers in the game. Coming in as the second best super in the game right now, we have Mandy's super, which is just absolutely insane. I guess by now you've probably seen 100 clips of some people, you know, charging their super back 2-3 times across the map, killing the entire team. This super has so much potential. Of course, again, another super kind of reminds me of Tara's super in a way. It's high risk, high reward, but this one seems a lot easier to get more value out of it, just because you can snipe people literally across the map. Like, how clutch can that super be? The range on it is just insane. It can one-shot so many brawlers in the game. It's such a dangerous super to face off against, especially on game modes like Bounty and Knockout. And without it, you know, Mandy is just such a terrible brawler. So, you know, this super has to be one of the best in the game easily. So now moving on to the best super in the game, we have Gray's super, the teleport super. So the teleport super, I actually didn't think it would be too strong, only because of how teleports were previously in the game. They weren't really the strongest, but Gray's super is so strong. So as everyone knows, his main shot mechanic is pretty weak, but his teleport completely makes up for that. So you guys are probably, well, if you've played Knockout, you'll know the cheesy strategy. I made a video on it myself, where, you know, you have the bow totem, you charge up the of course Gray's super, and then you also have just any tank, but particularly Jackie, and it just wins you the game. So it just shows how strong of a super this one is. You can instantly teleport you and your teammates, also with a star power gain 1000 HP. It's just so easy, especially on those lower HP targets, to just super on top of them from such a long range, and, you know, tap them a few times, kill them so easily. So for me, this has to be the best super in the game. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. So for me, these are the best supers in the game. There are also some honorable mentions as well. I think Buster would have actually been the best super in the game, but because of the duration, only 3 seconds, I don't think it actually gets too much value anymore. But again, a lot of you guys probably would disagree with that. The likes of Gene, of course, has an insane super. The only reason why I didn't put Gene on there was because of the fact there's a lot of gadgets that can tank Gene's pool in today's meta, so gotta be a little bit careful of that. Also, like Meg, of course, Lou and Bonnie. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.